Hi, everyone. So, this is my first time recording one of these on Zoom and sharing it with you all. So, we'll see what we get. It'll be an adventure for all of us. I thought it might be fun to kind of go through a chart or charts of a famous person so that you could kind of get an idea of, first of all, what the charts look like, right? Today, we're going to look at the full numerology report, the diamond report, and the year ahead forecast for Oprah Winfrey. So I thought it might be fun just to kind of, again, give you an idea of what the charts look like, what you can expect to get out of a chart, what you can expect to sort of get out of a recorded reading if you receive that from me, and why that's valuable. And yeah, just to kind of give a high level overview of each chart. We're not going to spend as much time as I would typically spend on one of these readings because we'd be here for hours. But I do want to kind of, like I said, just give a high level overview of each report for the celebrity, just to give you a general idea. Now, if you are listening on my podcast and you prefer to have a visual to actually see the charts, head on over to my YouTube channel. It's the Numerology Nook. And you can watch it there. If you just want to listen, then the podcast is great too. Okay. Again, this is just for fun. And this is assuming that the information that I gathered from the internet is accurate for Oprah, full name and birthday, because a lot of times with the full name, it can be different than what is on their actual birth certificate. Some people have stage names. Some people come up with, or don't give their full birth name. So some of these numbers may be different, right? So we're just going to assume that everything is accurate. And as I go through the chart, we'll just give a reading based on the information that was available. Let's see. So just so that you kind of understand, as I move through this chart, I'm pretty much just going to be giving, again, high level information based on the numerology. Now, when I read for a client, when I do a recorded reading for a client, I'm reading that information in a practical way because numerology is a metaphysical science. There are specific vibrations associated with each number, but I also read the charts intuitively. So for clients, if something stands out to me or comes to me intuitively, I'm going to share that. Just if it comes up. Now, again, because this isn't an actual reading, I'm just pretty much going to be showing you, again, high level, the more practical sides of these energies and what we can expect from Oprah. And again, the beautiful thing about this is, we kind of get to see a big snapshot of Oprah's life. So we can see how these numbers play into sort of that online presence. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So, of course, we've got Oprah Gail Winfrey, born January 29th, 1954. So this is interesting. So for anyone out there who is a 13-4, 22-4, this is a great example of this energy and how it's played out sort of on the global stage. So I do have a video dedicated to people who have the 13-4, 22-4, or just 13-4 life path number. And I highly suggest watching that because, like I said, Oprah is such a beautiful example of how that energy is supposed to play out in a lifetime. Not necessarily on such a grand scale, although given she's got the 22-4 energy, it's just such like chef's kiss. It's beautiful to see how it's all sort of played out because she really does embody all of these energies, the 13-4, the 22-4, and the 31-4 for her life path. Today, I'm not going to spend any time on the 31-4 because the 13-4 and the 22-4 energies are so significant, right? So let's go ahead and start with her life path energy. So for Oprah, she's a 13-4, 22-4. And I've sort of bolded the 22-4 because that's the big energy that the soul wants to step into in this lifetime, but it's not guaranteed, right? Anybody who has these energies will step into the 4 energy more than likely, right? With the 13-4 energy, we will experience those energies throughout our entire journey, right? And we'll have to sort of manage those energies, like master them, align with them, manage them type thing, because the 13-4 is karmic energy. And so I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So she would likely feel this energy throughout her entire journey. And the soul is going to make sure that she steps into this and masters this. The 13-4, because it is karmic, is sort of non-negotiable. It's going to keep showing up until we master it. And it's just going to keep getting more and more challenging until we master it. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. The 22-4, anytime we have master level energy, especially for a life path, this is like the soul's goal. It wants to step into this master level energy. And I'm going to talk about what the 22-4 is in a moment. But it's not guaranteed, right? This is pretty much guaranteed, the 13-4 and the 4. But the 22-4 is like that really big energy that the soul's like, this is what I want to attain. But we have an ego, of course. And a lot of times those opportunities or challenges that come in associated with the master level energy are so far outside our comfort zone and challenge the ego so much that a lot of times it's very difficult for people who have master level energy to step into that. A lot of times that's later in life that people will step into or master this energy and do something with it. And you can actually see that, again, play out beautifully with Oprah. Because I want to say, I should have looked this up before I started this, but I want to say that she didn't really kind of step into her stride or become famous or whatever the case may be, or really start to build her sort of platform until later in life, like around late 30s, early 40s, which actually for master level energy is sort of early. So a lot of times we don't see people step into master level energy until, 40s, but 50s, 60s, that sort of thing. So yeah, but this is not guaranteed. The person who has this energy will always sort of feel that pressure of, there's something bigger I need to step into. There's something bigger I need to do. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. And that pressure's sort of always there and it doesn't really go away. But that person can continue to say no to those opportunities that are outside the comfort zone, or that they convince themselves they're not worthy of, or whatever the case may be. And they can stay in this 4 energy, which is fine. It's just, it's not you're not stepping into the full attainment of the energy that the soul wanted to, which is fine. You'll probably just come back in another lifetime to do it. Okay, so let's take some time for a moment to talk about this 13-4 energy. And I kind of spend the most time on the life path energy when I'm reading a report, especially if there's karmic energy or master level energy, because these are such sort of nuanced energies that they usually require a lot of sort of going deeper into it. And so I'm not going to do that today, but I just so you know, if you ever got a reading with me, a recorded reading. Okay, so with the 13-4 energy, so this again is karmic energy. And what I mean by karmic is, the way we look at it in numerology is karmic energy can sort of signify 2 different things, right? It can either signify that in a past life, we achieved this energy, but we didn't do great things with it. So in this lifetime, it's more of like atonement. And so we're meant to achieve this energy, step into it, and then do great things with it, right? Beautiful things with it. And that's the goal of the soul. Or in a past life, we were prohibited for some reason for stepping into this energy or doing something with it, right? We might have mastered it, but we didn't achieve that goal of doing something beautiful with it. And so in other words, it could be like you had this energy, or let's say with Oprah, maybe in a past life, she was meant to do exactly what she's doing in this lifetime, but maybe, family obligations or health issues or, circumstances from the external prohibited that. So in this lifetime, she was really sort of destined to master this energy and step into it. Because like I said, with karmic level energy, it's sort of non-negotiable. It does not give up, right? It's like you're just going to keep facing challenges until you overcome those challenges, extract the wisdom, and do something with that. And then, so kind of the only way to alleviate the extreme challenges is to move in the direction of alignment with this energy. And then, that's just the natural flow of that would be to do something with it. Now, let's just break this down quickly so you can kind of see how this is played out for Oprah. So with a 13-4 energy, 4 energy is teacher. It's very wise energy. It's heart-led. So it wants to build a solid foundation that's led by the heart, right? That's heart-centered. It's a very intuitive energy, but it has to include both the heart and the practical mind, right? So if the heart's not present, then whatever that person is building is not going to be a solid foundation. But it is teacher type of energy. It's sharing wisdom or sharing medicine or sharing something of greater value in a very practical way that people can use, that people can benefit from in some way. So it's a very meticulous, slow-moving, legacy-building type of energy, okay? Most people with 4 energy are very reliable, they are dedicated, they are persistent, they're going to have a vision and they're going to work towards it no matter how long it takes to get there. As long as the heart is involved, then it is a solid foundation. Now, with 13 energy, what's beautiful about this is 13 energy is, first and foremost, it's sort of like Plutonian energy. So it's like Pluto, right? Death, transformation, rebirth. In tarot, the 13 is the death card. So there's constant sort of evolution, but not only that, with the 13 energy, it's about building something beautiful from something not so beautiful. So when I talk about 13-4 energy, I always use the example of the pearl or the lotus flower. And the reason for that is, let's use the lotus flower, right? So with 13-4 energy, they're meant to have some kind of a greater vision that other people may not understand. And they've got to be persistent to move towards that vision, even when things on the external are not sort of what they seem, or they're facing challenges. So I use the lotus flower as an example for 13-4 energy, because this would be like having to, or seeing a pile of mud and seeing the vision of something beautiful growing there. So you plant the seeds in that mud while people think you're crazy. They're like, what are you doing? You can't grow anything there. And you say, nope, I can see it. So they plant the seeds, they grow something, they're persistent, they nurture it, they continue to build upon it, right? And continue to, again, foster that growth. And then eventually, not quickly, but eventually, they see the beautiful blooms of the lotus flower. So their persistence, they're continuing to show up, created something beautiful from something not so beautiful. And that is ultimately the goal of the 13-4. Now, what sort of, to tell us kind of the pathway that this energy is going to take, we have the energy of the 1, right? So 1 is about originality. It's the vision. It's the person who's a visionary, right? It's someone who's going to have a vision, hold that vision, and continue to nurture that vision until it grows. But it's something that's original. It's not something that is somebody else's idea. It's typically their own idea. They're going to take something and make it their own. There's also an energy with the 1 of taking a risk, right? So doing something outside the comfort zone that pushes us to something greater. And that greater vision typically will have some kind of solution or resource tied to it, right? So this is about being in the spotlight with your vision. So you can have a team, but the spotlight is on you, right? With your greater vision. So that team is helping you to build that greater vision that, like I said, ultimately is some kind of resource or solution for a greater population, which of course we can see Oprah has achieved, right? Then we have the energy of the 3, and the 3 brings in communication, right? The written or the spoken word. It's also about networking, collaborating, also about being in the spotlight, not minimizing yourself, not being afraid to sort of, grab the microphone and share your ideas and not minimize who you are, those sort of things. It's a very big social energy. So it's very much has a bigger presence typically within the social environment. But really when it's tied to 13-4 energy, this is about your words. Okay. Anybody who has 13-4 energy typically is very good at using their words for defense, to cut people down, to suppress, or whatever they need to do. A lot of times with 13-4 energy, it's not about physical retaliation. It's about with words, right? So most 13-4s can use their words for good or for things that are not so great, right? And in this lifetime, when a 13-4 uses their words to tear someone down or to suppress or whatever the case may be, they're going to see that boomerang back to them very, very quickly. And they're going to have to clean it up. So the 13-4 in this lifetime is meant to use their words to uplift, empower, inspire. Uplift, empower, inspire. Who does that sound like? That sounds like Oprah, right? And so that's what I mean when I say she could not be a better sort of, I don't want to say role model, but just an example of stepping into these energies and just so beautifully, doing it so, so beautifully. So with a 13-4, that's the goal, is taking something, one energy that's your original vision idea, taking a risk, being persistent and going for it, alongside being a leader, right? It's also leadership energy, but alongside of others. And then the 3 energy, has that social component, but really comes back to the words, the written and the spoken words, and how we use it to uplift, empower, inspire. And then the 4 energy is that legacy building energy, or that teacher energy, that wise sage type of energy. That's heart centered, right? That leads by the heart. So again, I would say that Oprah very much has stepped into this energy and leads beautifully with it. Now with the 22-4 energy, there's a lot obviously that I could say about this as well. I'm not going to, I have separate videos on all these numbers and energies. But I just kind of want to give an example of how she's, again, stepped into this so beautifully and somewhat kind of early in life for master level energy. So the 22-4 is the master builder. It's going to build some kind of legacy that has the potential to bring people together, to bring harmony to a situation, to, again, uplift, empower, inspire through something very physical. So with Oprah, of course, as starting out as that talk, as a talk show host, and then that alone, many people can remember, sort of growing up with Oprah, right? So she had that energy, or has that energy, to just really uplift, empower, inspire, and bring people together, right? To find sort of where the disconnect is, and then bring the connection. And that really is 22-4 energy. It's about building something that can stand the test of time, that leaves some kind of an imprint, or again, legacy for good. And with any of the master level energies, 22, 11, 33, these are not meant to be in the shadows. These energies are meant to, whether it's through the work or the actual person, the presence, are meant to be experienced by a large population because it's such big energy. Usually people with 22-4 energy can have a lot of self-doubt, can have a lot of things that they have to move through sort of emotionally before they can sort of really step into this power. Because that's the other thing with the 4. With the 4 energy, a lot of times what we see is that these are individuals who have gone through some kind of significant trauma early on in life. And then the journey becomes sort of facing those emotions, moving through those emotions to fully step into their power, right? And I believe Oprah had quite a traumatic experience when she was younger. I believe she went through sexual abuse. I believe she was also in poverty, like all these things. So with 4 energy, it's a solution focused energy. So a lot of times it will move beyond the emotions or sort of detach from the emotions to get straight to the solution, because that's where we see the gold, right? Is in the solution. But the journey becomes one of facing those emotions, moving through that trauma, and transmuting that energy into something positive. And with Oprah, you can see, she really has used her work and her wisdom through those experiences to help change the lives of others, building a legacy. When the day comes that Oprah transcends and moves on beyond this earth, people will remember her, and they will remember her message and the work that she's done. And that could not more beautifully be expressed, showcase that 22-4 energy. So just incredibly beautiful. I'm not going to spend any time on the 31-4, although that is significant. And I would go into that if there was a reading, if you were having a reading with me. But for this, these are just two big, such dynamic energies that she just showcases so incredibly beautiful. So again, for those of you out there who are 13-4, 22-4s, do some research on Oprah and kind of see her journey and, obviously where she's at now. And not to say that your journey is going to mimic that, but there's a lot of golden nuggets in there for our own personal journeys. I too myself am a 13-4, 22-4. So I use Oprah as an example in my own life as well, like what I hope to achieve, not necessarily on that scale, but okay. So moving on. Now, if you were to receive your full numerology report, it would look like this, right? It would have all of these different energies. Now, again, if you're on my podcast, I'm going to go through a lot of these energies. So you'll know what I'm kind of showcasing here, or like I said, head on over to my YouTube channel. But you will get a full rundown of what each of these numbers mean, right? For me, when I do a recorded reading, you'll see all these highlighted areas. These are the ones, for your chart, it will be probably a little bit different. But these are the areas that I really want to focus on when I do a reading, because they kind of, whatever stands out to me that I think needs a little bit further to go a little bit deeper, right? I'm not going to spend a lot of time on any of these today, but like I said, I kind of want to just give you the overview. Okay, so your birthday energy. So for Oprah, not just for Oprah, for everyone, the birthday energy is typically what we have achieved or stepped into in a past life. And in this lifetime, it's meant to assist in stepping into the life path, right? So this was interesting to me because Oprah has 2911 energy. This is master level energy. And it's actually what I would say is elevated master level energy because of that 29. I'm going to talk about what the 29 means. The 11 is inspirational leader. The inspirational leader. Now, if that doesn't just or describe Oprah, I don't know what does. But the inspirational leader is that of master number 11. They are meant to inspire others in this lifetime by doing things that inspire them, right? They become a presence. They become, their work generates this feeling in others that, again, uplifts, empowers, inspires others in a lot of ways. What's interesting for me is that Oprah has the 29. So the 29, when we have this in a prominent placement, it typically indicates that this is a testing incarnation. Now, this will often signify past life, your birthday energy. So it does sort of translate to a sort of Oprah's life in this lifetime, but it gives sort of a view into potentially her past life, right? So there was a potential that her past life was also sort of a testing incarnation, right? What's interesting is with 29 energy, it's a testing incarnation that sort of strengthens sort of your deeper strengths, so to speak, right? So that you're meant to put into commercial use. So something for the external to consume in some way, right? So a lot of times when you have 29 energy, you're sort of a novice in the business world, but there's a beckoning for it. Now that would make sense for 2911 past life and then 13-4 this life. So it's almost like in a past life, she was beckoned to do this work, but again, was prohibited in some way. And so in this lifetime, her soul was like, nope, we're doing this and we're going to do it in a big way. So she's carrying this sort of wisdom and this light energy with her in this lifetime. And by light, I mean like, divine light, right? 29 energy really vibrates with the word wisdom and light. Now, what's beautiful about the 29 is the positive side of this vibration sort of endows the individual with the vision and foresight necessary to look beyond the ordinary world and see uses for their talents, right? And if they can do that, they're typically able to achieve great wealth and success in the business world. Again, this, who does this sound like? Oprah. I think she's billionaire status. Just through doing, well, I say just, right? Through doing this beautiful work in the world that helps to uplift, empower, inspire. So one thing with the 29 is when you're able to sort of persevere with your goals, then even though there'll be some struggles, you will attain whatever it is your greater vision is. So again, this would kind of give us that snapshot into a past life of Oprah. And then she's using this energy, this inspirational leader energy, to step into this 13-4-22-4, which again, we can see through, just her life story. She's done so beautifully. Now, this is interesting. Her expression energy is 7. So the expression is sort of the goal, how you achieve your goals, right? It tells us how you're going to best share your gifts in this lifetime and sort of what that will look like, right? And so what's interesting about 7 energy, it's very, of course, very nuanced, right? So typically the 7 is going to become the bridge between the ethereal and the physical, the very spiritual and the very practical. And so it becomes that bridge to take big ideas and inspirations and turn them into something very tangible. So again, we could really sort of merge the 4 and the 7 in this case, because the 4, heart-led, looking to build something from their intuition, from their wisdom, from their heart center that's very practical in this lifetime. The 7 is really aiming to do the same, is looking to take, honor the very spiritual, very ethereal, very bigger than self energy and become the bridge to create something very tangible and resourceful and truthful in this lifetime. So the 7 energy is really about digging deeper into the psyche of self and others. And a lot of Oprah's work is very geared around self-help, right? So very, very beautiful, because again, the 7, whether it's through the unseen or the seen, at its core is really looking for the truth, is looking for the truth of somebody else's truth, the truth of a situation, the truth of the matter, whatever the case may be, or the truth of self. Again, very much around self-help, self-empowerment, self-reflection, and honoring all sides of self. So her expression being a 7, it means that when she's doing work that is digging deeper to get to the truth of something, and that has to do with self-empowerment, self-realization, whether that's for herself or for others, she is in this energy. She is aligned with this energy. And I would say she absolutely is. Her minor expression, the reason why I highlighted this is because it's 5 energy. And yes, 5 energy can very much signify change, right? And evolution, which I think we can see right through her journey. There has been change and evolution in the way that she does her work, right? But with 5 energy, there's also this component of unconventional thinking outside the box, and community. There's this very strong emphasis with 5 energy on community. It's very Aquarian in a lot of ways, I would say, but it wants to have the freedom of expression, and it wants to be able to continuously evolve with that expression without feeling too restricted, without feeling confined. And what I think about, again, I would say that Oprah has probably stepped into most of these energies in her chart. But what I love about Oprah with these energies is you can see that, right? Again, because it sort of plays out in her journey, how she's continued to evolve and expand and grow, while also maintaining sort of a solid foundation, right? And keeping sort of an open mind. That's a big one with 5 energy also, an open mind to, hear other people's perspectives, hear other people's side of the story without judgment, without trying to restrict or confine others. And so it's just incredibly beautiful energy when you put the 5 and the 7 together in this sort of placement. And like I said, I think she's just stepped into it so incredibly beautifully. Now, this is interesting also. So heart's desire. Now, heart's desire, it's sort of like the soul's desire in this lifetime. And if we don't achieve this in this lifetime, then we'll come back and try to do it in the next lifetime. Because it's one of those things where it's like your soul is like, I really want to do this before we leave this incarnation. And for Oprah, it's very beautiful because it's the 13-4, right? Which is her life path number. So again, we go back to everything I said about the 13-4. Her heart's desire, her soul's desire is absolutely to do something original, take risks, have a team, but have that spotlight on her so that she can share a greater solution or resource, right? That's very unique to her. But also that 3 energy of words, right? Communication, the written, the spoken word, in order to empower, uplift, inspire. And then, of course, the 4, building some kind of legacy or foundation that's strong with wisdom, right? And that doesn't necessarily have to be just her wisdom, right? And I think that's what's beautiful about what Oprah has done is she incorporates, all these different people who are sharing their wisdom. And she uses that, through her book club, through different outlets to help to share the wisdom of others as well. There's so many authors, so many people who, once they went, I think Eckhart Tolle is also one who I believe he said that once his book got picked up by Oprah, the rest is history. And, Eckhart Tolle, I actually kind of want to do a report on him as well. He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, spiritual leaders in our lifetime. So anyway, she's just had such a tremendous impact with her work. And again, you can just see it. This is also interesting. So personality is 12-3. So your personality is what, how other people see you, how you express yourself, so again, how you radiate into the world. So whether you're having a good day or a bad day, people are going to see you this way typically. So the 12-3, we have the 1, which is self. Again, everything we talked about with 1 energy, leadership energy. But then we also have the 2, which is about relationships, relating to other people, harmony, balance, bringing people together, seeing the disconnect and bringing some kind of connection, which again is so Oprah. And then the 3 energy, which is also about creativity, like continuing to express your creative side and your creativity in a way that honors self, 1, and brings people together, takes into account other people's perspectives, collaboration, all of those things. So again, I would say that this is very accurate. The maturity number is what we typically will step into or start to step into around the age of 30, 35, and then we're typically in it at 45. And it walks alongside of the life path number. So it doesn't take the place of the life path, but it walks alongside of it. And so what I think is really beautiful about this, and of course we can see it, is her maturity energy is 11-2. Remember, her birthday energy is 11-2. Well, 29-11-2. So she's in it. She's in it. And the beautiful thing about this is because she's got this as her birthday energy, she was sort of able to tap into it and run with it. So 11-2 being the inspirational leader, bringing people together through inspiration, through inspiring others to follow their heart, do what speaks to them. Basically, Oprah's overall foundational message, just in a nutshell. I mean, again, I'm just kind of blown away when I look at these charts, and especially when you can see, like with a celebrity who it's sort of played out over someone's lifetime, how beautifully they've stepped into these energies sometimes. You can also see that with celebrities who did not step into their life path in the way they should have. And I might do a report on some of those celebrities as well, so you can kind of see the other side of it, because it is possible to not step into these energies. Anyway, the maturity being that inspirational leader, if your maturity is 11-2, this is not a lifetime where you're slowing down. This is a lifetime where you're meant to continue to utilize this energy to share, to do whatever it is that the energy is asking you to do. And for this, it's just saying you will continue to inspire others. So we will find ways to do that. So incredibly beautiful. And like I said, you can see that. Usually people who have 11-2 energy are either stepping into the spotlight around this time, well, especially with a maturity energy of master numbers. So for Oprah or anybody with a maturity of 11-2, let's say, you'll typically see their presence in the spotlight or their presence in the community or greater or globally, or their work go into the spotlight in a big way once they step into this maturity energy. And that's what I mean when I say it's not a lifetime where you're going to slow down necessarily, but you're meant to be doing things that inspire you. So that should bring you joy, and then you will inspire others. Anybody with a maturity number of 11-2 that's doing things that drain them or that leaves them uninspired will not be satisfying this energy and will face tremendous challenges until they make that switch and start doing what really speaks to their heart. Now, Oprah's hidden passion, of course, is 9, which I say, of course, because it's just so much about, it's the humanitarian. It's very much about taking all into consideration, taking other perspectives into consideration, sort of doing things that, again, help to uplift, empower, inspire others. The 9 is a very spiritual energy. It's a very forgiving energy. It's very much about being the bigger person. It's non-judgmental. It really is, no matter sort of what you face, it's finding a way to move beyond that and be the bigger person, and to really vibrate at a higher octave. And that is the hidden passion of the soul, is for Oprah to be sort of in this Mother Teresa sort of energy. And that does not mean sacrificing oneself or living in deprivation or any of those things. And I think that she's such a beautiful example of somebody sort of in this vibration who also has just a tremendous amount of financial security, right? So where if we were to look at Mother Teresa, who was a life path 9, it's sort of the opposite, right? But it's just different storylines, right? Different journeys. But I think it's really beautiful to see someone with a strong placement of 9 energy, because her balance is also 9, right? So she's going to feel the most balanced when she's in this 9 energy, which again is not necessarily, or is not about sacrifice and self-deprivation. It is about having integrity behind your actions and what you do, looking for a way to serve others with whatever that is, right? So, like I said, she has created a platform that has not only catapulted herself, but has catapulted many, many, many people, right? Including Eckhart Tolle, which I have goosebumps saying that because it's just so incredibly beautiful. And not looking to necessarily gain anything from that, right? So when we have strong placements of 9 energy, if we are only out for selfish purposes, we see the effects of that. So in other words, if Oprah were simply, driven by selfish desires, right, or selfish means, it would be highly likely that you would see her move through phases of having a lot and then losing it, right? Like things falling through her fingers type thing. But what I think is really beautiful and sort of a testament, given her wealth and her how she uses it, et cetera, from what we see online, right? Assuming that that's accurate. But it's a testament to her physical security and wealth, that she's in this 9 energy because she's not losing it, right? So it's this kind of energy of she must be circulating it in a way that is not selfish, but that is selfless. And again, we can see that in how she promotes unseen authors or talent or people using their creativity. So it just becomes so incredibly beautiful. Again, her sort of purpose, if you want to say this, on this planet is really to uplift, empower, inspire, not only self, but others, right? And I think that she has just done such a brilliant job with that. Subconscious self, this really is sort of this energy of, a lot of times, I just use the example of, because the best way to sort of describe it is like, if you're doing something and you make a decision and you're like, well, that doesn't seem like me. I don't know why I did that. A lot of time that's our subconscious self coming through. That's sort of in there, right? It's in our sort of DNA. It's sort of embedded in there. And it's sort of the soul coming out subconsciously, right? So with the subconscious self of 7, again, she's got, what was that placement? Expression of 7, right? So subconsciously, there's this inner drive for her to express herself in this way, right? The 7, which I talked about already. So she's really got this as a driving force internally, whether she knows where it's coming from or not, right? Also, I will say with 7 energy, it's also very, 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 very intuitive, very much like connected to the other realms, so to speak. And we all are. I really do believe we are all psychic, right? It's just some people have that open channel, and whether it's through very, very vivid dreams, which a lot of 7s have very, very vivid dreams. But also because it is like I said, it's an energy that's very psychically charged, where that veil is just thin, and it's what the 7 decides to do with it, of course, but it's there. So with such strong placements for Oprah, I wouldn't be surprised if she has vivid dreams. I wouldn't be surprised if she's very, very intuitive, right? And of course, a lot of, like I said, she's helped to catapult one of the greatest spiritual teachers in our lifetime. So I would say that she's got a really good ability to read a vibration, right? Like to read a room, to read a person type thing, getting to someone's inner workings without them probably having to say much. Okay, now with Oprah, this is interesting because so we basically have 4 challenges throughout our journey that come through that we are meant to move through in our lifetime. Once we sort of, like we don't have enough challenges, right? But the universe is like, hey, here's some additional challenges to really help you to step into this energy, whatever it is that you're working with. And that goes alongside of the incredible challenges she would have faced with the 13-4 karmic energy and the 22-4. These are not easy vibrations to have in a lifetime. But again, she's just moved through it so incredibly beautifully. For her, it's interesting because her first challenge and her second challenge, which would have been early on in life, the first challenge is from birth until about the age of 35. And then the second challenge would go from about 35 to about 40, which is interesting because that's really when she stepped into, Oprah, as we know Oprah. And so, and then her third and fourth challenge, which will carry her through the rest of her life, she doesn't have any, right? She's got the 0, which means you don't have anything. You do the world is your canvas. So what are you going to do with it? But it's interesting to me that hers were 1s, right? So there was definitely something here about her having to be original, to stand out, to stand in her power, to use her voice, which you can see that through her struggles early on in life. Absolutely. And it's also very independent, which I think is telling because we know Oprah as Oprah. We don't know Oprah as like a conglomerate, like a larger corporation necessarily, right? That is, a team and Oprah. It's Oprah, right? So much of her early on in life was helping to shape and mold that identity, right? Of sort of being in the spotlight and being Oprah. So it's fascinating to me. And you can usually, if you look over your lifetime, you can see how these challenges have come to play and sort of how these themes have come in. I know I can certainly do that with my own numerology. It's just fascinating to me. Okay, and then let's see. This is interesting because from 33 to 59, she was in an 11 cycle. So we have 3 big cycles that we move through from birth to death. And they're significant. Like we can feel the influences of these energies very much so. And I just want to mention, if I haven't, I don't think I did, the life path is the big one, right? That's the one that's going to hold all of the challenges, all of the triumphs, all of the experiences that the soul wants to experience in this lifetime. That's probably new to the soul for the most part. And so all of the other energies, the birthday, the expression, the minor expression, the maturity, hidden passion, all of these other ones, right? These are all assisting to step into that life path, right? They're all significant and you can feel the influences, but they're really helping to step into the life path. And so the second cycle for Oprah from 33 to 59 was 11, which again is about the inspirational leader. And so I think, again, I should have looked this up before I started this, but I believe it was late 30s, early 40s that things really started to take off for Oprah. And so again, 11 energy. For those of you who know who Dr. Wayne Dyer was, he was an 11 too. And I also want to do a report on him too for the 11 twos out there. But anyway, so that inspiring type of energy, it's very rare that we see someone who stepped into their master level energy not be in the spotlight in some way, or their work, right? Because it's meant to be far reaching. It's meant to do good on a grand scale. So anyway, it was fascinating to me to see that, because you can see, and of course, double ones, right? Also. So yeah, very fascinating. And then her last cycle from the age of 60, and I believe she's 69 now, until death do her part, is 1. So she's right back to this really, maintaining her vision, being original, continuing to take risks, continuing to stay in the spotlight if she chooses to continue to have those bigger visions and turn them into something tangible and do something good with them. So it's incredibly, incredibly beautiful. I want to backtrack for a second because I didn't hit on the planes of expression. Let's see, what do I want to say though? Physical 1. Yeah, that's so is how she would express herself in the physical. 1 energy, again, we know Oprah as Oprah, right? She is her own sort of presence. And so that's very, again, you can see how she's very much stepped into that. Mental expression 5. Again, this is thinking outside the box, doing things differently, taking a risk, a creative self-expression in a very freeing way, and constant evolution, constantly seeing other perspectives and changing, continuing to evolve, right, with the times. And I think that she does that in such an incredibly beautiful way. Her open-mindedness is really such a force to be reckoned with, and such a really role model for so many people, just to have that open mind, hear other perspectives, and to entertain those other perspectives, right, and explore them. The 5 energy is very much wants to experience life with all of its senses type of energy. And so that's really, when that's a mental energy, it's like, that's how we view life, is like, what can I learn? How can I expand my mind? How can I expand my spirit? How can I expand, et cetera, et cetera? It's a very expansive energy. So that's very, makes sense. And then emotional 6 energy. Yeah. I mean, this is heart. This is the vibration of love, right? This is a very nurturing, loving energy, very much about, spreading love but authentically, like genuinely, not just lip service, but truly holding that vibration. And again, for those of us of a certain age, I can remember sort of growing up with Oprah. after school or whatever the case may be. And it always felt like such a nurturing space, right? So 100%, I feel like she is definitely, and I like it too because it's 24/6. So we have the energy of relating relationships, and 4 being that solid foundation, building something from the heart that's a solid foundation. And then the 6, which of course is that vibration of love and nurturing. And I think, of course, she embodies that. And then intuitive 13/4. Again, remember 13/4 energy really is death, transformation, rebirth, and building something beautiful from something not so beautiful. So, and it's a very intuitive energy. It's a very heart-led energy. So intuitively, this would be someone who connects with their own heart and their own intuition when they're making decisions, right? Which is beautiful, right? That means that she's aligned with these energies. So that is the overall numerology report. Now I want to jump to, now again, let me just say this real quick. And I know on my podcast, you can't see this, but if you were to just get your report, you would have about 25, 26 pages of sort of that goes into each number, right? It's not going to go into detail like I would go into detail if I'm doing a recording, but you're going to get enough that you need, right? It's going to give you a good snapshot, a good blueprint for your journey, to give you an understanding of these numbers. But I do recommend, if you can afford it, to get the recorded reading because, like I said, I will go in a lot more in depth. And I also read it intuitively. So just keep that in mind. And you can get your reports, of course, on my website or a reading. Okay, next I want to move to her year ahead. I thought it'd be kind of fun to look at her year ahead for this year and next year, just to kind of see what she's moving through. Now, this is the personal year ahead forecast for those of you on my YouTube channel that can see. And this is what it would typically look like. And then, of course, it's going to have full on descriptions of each of these vibrations, or you can get the recorded version where, again, I will go into detail, and I'll also pull an animal wisdom message for your year ahead. So I thought this was really interesting for Oprah. And so what did I say? She's 69. Yeah. So, okay. So just to kind of give you an idea, the personal year energies go from January 1st to December 31st. So that would be 2023, 2024. The essence energies look at the age. So it goes from birthday to birthday, right? We're in this sort of essence energy that we'll feel. And it works sort of in tandem or harmoniously with the personal year ahead. So for Oprah, at the age of 69, so the day that she turned 69, January 29th, 2023, until January 29th, 2024, she'll be in a 22/4 essence. And actually, she's also in a 22/4 essence at the age of 70. Now, why I found this so interesting is because 22/4, to have a 22/4 cycle is very significant. We don't see that very often, but it's very significant. When you see a 22/4 cycle coming your way, when it's in your year ahead forecast, there is some big things coming down the pipeline. So be prepared. And a lot of it is going to be outside of your comfort zone that you're probably not going to feel ready for, that you're going to feel like you've got to talk yourself into doing it, but you'll feel it, right? You'll feel like, wow, I should say yes to this. And then of course the self-doubt will come in, but you got to go for it, right? When 22/4 energy comes your way, don't say no. Because if it's coming your way, it means you're ready for it. Now, what's interesting with this is, of course, Oprah is incredibly successful. She's got she's built a name for herself, all of those things, right? So it's interesting seeing her moving into these cycles. So typically when we have 22/4 as a cycle, we see this bring about enormous demands, right? And so consequently, it's like the chance to achieve greatness. Now, of course, Oprah's already done that, but what this tells me is that she's probably going to see opportunities come in the next couple of years that will continue to help her to build upon that success and to do great things with it. Because remember, master level energy wants to be big, wants to be expressed in a big way, and is meant to help others in some way. So she will probably find in the next couple of years that she's sort of at the center of some sort of larger movement or social cause. Don't know what that would be, but could be anything with Oprah, right? Typically with this energy, power comes to you, but you sort of need every ounce of strength to accomplish the task that lies before you. And that's why I say when a 22/4 cycle comes your way, be prepared, because more than likely the opportunity is going to feel so big, so outside of you, that you'll have imposter syndrome, or you'll have, a tremendous amount of self-doubt, and that can trip you up to say no to these opportunities, even though you're excited about them and you feel like they are aligned. And so really it takes that courage and that strength to not only say yes to it, but to see it through. It's always going to be more than likely about serving some kind of greater social good. It's not going to be about self, right? Or selfish things. This is usually, now again, Oprah's already done this, so how it shows up for her, time will tell, but it's usually this is a time to build some kind of great and lasting edifice, right? This edifice can be physical, like a building or a business, for example, or it can be more social. So maybe advancing a truly worthy social cause. Because remember, these master level cycles are always going to look for the greater good. It's never going to be self-serving. It can serve the self, but it also has to be serving a greater cause. It's also one of those energies that cuts through any BS. So the truth is sort of everywhere that you look under this cycle. So it's really hard to pull the wool over someone's eyes when they're in this energy. And I would say that would be difficult for Oprah anyway, because this is her life path number. Practically speaking, people going through this cycle, their well-being, their livelihoods, or general attitudes sort of rest in a large part of like what you do, right? So people are going to naturally look to you for leadership and inspiration. Your actions can have a dramatic effect. So you really do have to sort of live according to your higher ideals. And values must be sort of above reproach, meaning that the 22/4 is not going to let any shady business happen, so to speak, right? There's also this requirement to be patient with others and to take the slower, more sure path. The 22/4 is not going to do things quickly, and it's not going to do things that take a lot of risk, right? It's going to be wants to build a legacy, a solid foundation. And when it's in a cycle, especially in a concurrent cycle, it's building towards something big, right? And so that's what Oprah is in right now. So how I would see this translating for her, since she's already sort of done this, and also this is her life path number. So she may not feel it quite as intensely as somebody who does not have a 22/4 life path. But she's still going to feel it, right? Because a lot of times it can bring in rewards as well. It can be a very rewarding energy, a very rewarding cycle. But the way I would see this sort of transpire for her would be just building upon what she's already built, right? So maybe doing something new, doing something different that again helps to open minds or bring about new perspectives to the public. This is something that is going to be, we would see and we would see it play out. So I expect over the next couple of years to see more of Oprah, whether that's online or on TV or whatever the case may be. And I believe that's already sort of happening. So yeah, because we're in July. This started in January for her. Yeah. So just kind of keep an eye, if you're an Oprah fan, just kind of keep an eye out, because you probably will see more of her doing more good. And then also, let's see, 2023 is a 1 cycle for her. So again, in the spotlight, being using her ingenuity, being that visionary, creating something that's solution focused, that is bringing resources or solutions to the greater population, standing in her power, all of these things, and really being confident in whatever she's doing, right? So again, I don't see that as too far-fetched for Oprah, but that there's going to be that sort of pressure for her, and also new opportunities. And that's the other thing. When one energy comes in as a cycle, it's not only about the individual, but it's also about like how the individual leads alongside of others and takes personal responsibility, but also new initiations, like new starts, starting big new things, taking big new risks type things. So we may see that from Oprah, especially with that 22/4 essence. And then 2024, let's see, 2024, she steps into a 2 cycle. So again, this is going to be about relating, relationships, helping bring harmony, balance, finding the disconnect, bringing the harmony. So again, we may see Oprah on the greater stage being more involved in social causes where there's injustice, and she's helping use her platform or her voice or influence to help bring connection, which of course, she's already done that. But we may see it sort of on even a grander scale. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the last chart that I want to look at for Oprah, and this is the diamond chart. So this is a new service that I'm offering. This is not, if you're looking at this on my YouTube channel, you can't see the full report. I'm just showing the diamond, and I'm going to go through what these sort of mean for Oprah. The diamond is probably one of the more significant charts. I mean, I think they're all significant, and they all just hold their, great value as a roadmap for self-discovery. But the diamond is great because it kind of gives you a snapshot for your year of what you're moving through. What's the challenge? What's at the root of it, like the cause? What's the action item? And what's the potential outcome, right? And so it gives you from your birthday to your birthday a quick snapshot of what to expect, right? So you're going to have all these other things kind of that you're moving through from your personal year forecast, from your actual numerology report. But this diamond report really kind of gets to the core of it. So you will likely see some kind of, as the year plays out, focal point with these energies. And so this diamond report or forecast sort of helps to move through whatever surfaces. So you're prepared for it, right? Your decisions and your choices will obviously determine the outcome or the experience. But these sort of roadmaps or divination tools really do kind of help to equip you with the information to help you work with the energies, right? All numerology is so much about empowerment, like self-empowerment, self-realization, and self-discovery. It's not someone telling you what to do. It's saying these are the energies that you could potentially be working with, and these are some great ways to work with it if you choose to. And so then when the challenges sort of show up, we're like, okay, I can understand how to work with these now. And so just like I said, I see it as such an empowering tool, Anyway, okay. So for Oprah, for the age of 69, because I always pull this unless my client tells me they want it for a certain age, I'll always pull it for the current age. So for Oprah, she has a diamond that is highlighting. Now, remember, this is from her birthday in January till her birthday in January 2024. This is like sort of the snapshot of what she's moving through personally. So her challenge is a 2. And so what this sort of is bringing in, this is sort of bringing in sort of an energy a little bit different than what we would typically think of 2 energy. Because this is the challenge, this is sort of, again, where a lot of the pressure is going to be put for her this year. So with the 2 energy, it's going to be pushing the boundaries of her own perception, right? Because a lot of times when it's just about self, we see things obviously through our own perception, through our own lens. And a lot of times that's driven by the mind. So most of the time we're sort of immersed in the rumblings of our own mind, right? And we think we are our mind, and that there's no distance, no separation, because we think it, we do it, or we feel it, or, we think it. Again, mind. So we think it and we think, well, this is us having this thought. And so therefore this is truth, or whatever the case may be. But this energy, especially as a 2 cycle, is saying to take more time to sit quietly and focus inward, because another kind of consciousness then can come through. And then Oprah can recognize that her true self lives much deeper within her, right? The real you, so to speak, is simply listening to your mind, So there's a distance between you and your mind, right? And only the silence can sort of remind us of that. So when we can do that, that is the first step to real freedom. And that's sort of what her challenge is this month. So this year. So she's too much in the mind. And I know that Oprah probably already knows this, working with some of the great people she's worked through and her own self-discovery and all those things. So, this is probably just going to be like a refresher course for Oprah. But honestly, we can all grow. We can all continue to evolve. And so this 2 energy in the challenges is helping her to do that. Her soul is helping her to do that. So it's only when, with this 2 energy, only when one is fully conscious of his or her or their true self as separate from the mind, that they can truly accept or discard whatever the mind delivers, which constitutes true freedom. So when a person is not aware of this separate identity between themselves and their mind, then that person has no choice but to follow the mind in absolute obedience, right? And so there's no questions, there's no choices, there's no freedom. It's just my mind tells me to do this and I'm going to do it. And whether that's something I thought of or someone thought of for me, right? So without this separation, it just becomes like you sort of arguing with yourself. And so this challenge of the 2 is saying, let's go deeper. Let's move beyond the mind, the mental chatter. And so that's the challenge for Oprah this year, is to really continue to do that, and because she is a 13-4, 22-4, right? Follow that heart center, which I would say we're all meant to do that, but definitely for her. Now, the root for Oprah this year is 1. So this is interesting because when we have 1 as a root energy, we often find ourselves in a position of power and dominance, sort of with the ability to affect the lives of others, which again, I would say that she's been in that position for many years. So it just puts the focal point on the importance that you sort of take a look at the interactions that you have with those who are closest to your heart, and that you find a way to restore balance and harmony. And I would also say for her, like members of her team or whatever, right? With this 1 energy, you're being asked to sort of build a foundation for something that will serve a greater social good. So think big and take practical steps to ensure that, your dreams become reality when you're in this 1 root energy. And again, I would say that she's already done that, but it may be that she's building something new this year that is going to require her to sort of get back to her roots and sort of remember that, the effect that she can have on the lives of others. And then action key for Oprah is 3. This is just asking her to allow more of herself to come out from behind the curtain, so to speak, right? So the carefully crafted facade, which I think is really interesting because with Oprah being in the spotlight, I think she probably has to be very careful, as do most celebrities, of what they put out into the public, right? And she's certainly entitled to that. But there is something about if there's any area within her life, and it doesn't have to be in the public. It's not like we are entitled to that from her. But it could be, more about like her close circle, the people that she confides in, or the people that are closest to her heart, that this energy is saying, don't minimize who you are, continue to be yourself and show, be vulnerable and show these people who you are behind the name Oprah, right? So it's just the 3 energy is always going to ask us to not minimize who we are, to really truly see the world through the innocent eyes of our inner child, and to be that big personality, just truly embrace who we are from a very authentic place. And I'm not saying that she's not doing that, but with an action key of 3, this could either just be a reminder, or it's saying there's areas where you're not doing this. So this energy is going to put the pressure on her to help her to do that. The more that she allows the true Oprah out in the open, the more people will respect her, and the more rewarding and satisfying her life becomes, right? And again, that's not that she owes that to her fans or to the greater population, but really like to the people who are close to her, for sure, right? And so it kind of just, the 3 energies just says, It's like when you want to laugh out loud, laugh out loud. When you want to feel anger, be angry. Of course, how you can't you have to be responsible with that anger, right? You can't put it on people, but you can certainly feel it and express it in your own healthy way. When you feel like hugging, hug, just be yourself. And the 3 energy ultimately is always saying that, be yourself. Not everybody's going to get it, but not everybody has to. And that's what makes it far from easy, right? It can be very difficult. It can require courage. And I would say a lot of times for celebrities, that's even like multiplied, right? Because they just talk about having the microscope on you. It's like you have to almost create this facade. Because people just, they love to build up and then tear down. So, however she chooses to work with this energy, but it's definitely saying, be yourself, that's far from easy, but, just be yourself. And that reward for doing that, of course, will be in direct proportion to the challenge. So if it's very challenging for you to stand out on the stage and give a speech, the more you do that, if it's something that, you're good at, the more that you'll be rewarded for that. So you kind of face those challenges, right? When that 3 cycle comes in as an action key. And then the last thing is the outcome. So the outcome for Oprah with her diamond is it's so beautiful because it's the 4 energy, right? Which of course is her life path. And so it's just saying, we're just working towards a stronger foundation in sort of not only the material world, but also the spiritual, because that's the thing with the 4 energy that gets overlooked a lot. It's a very spiritual, very, very intuitive energy. It's also very, very practical, very dedicated, very loyal, all those things, and very material, right? Like very tangible. And so this is just saying, like, if she's able to step into, overcome these challenges of the 2, step into, recognize the sort of root cause, and then take the appropriate actions with the energy of the 3, she has the potential to build that stronger foundation in not only the spiritual, but also the material world. So, and what she chooses to do with that. So on the material plane, this can create sort of concrete and tangible improvements, right? And then improve financial circumstances. It could also bring about advancements in career and so forth. But for her, I think it's going to, obviously that would be building upon what she already has there and doing something continuing to do something really, really good with that. And, I think also this is a discovery year for her to discover that when it comes down to it, when you don't disappoint yourself, that's when you see some of the greatest rewards, right? And it's also, just has the potential to just reiterate to her that when we keep our promises, when we're reliable and trustworthy, we can build a very strong foundation, right? So the other side of that, because with the diamond, it'll give you the higher outcome and the lower vibrational outcome. And so, if she doesn't sort of work through these energies or move with them, then she might find that, the opposite is true, right? And so she might find that her foundation sort of erodes, or there's considerably less financial security or a depleted sense of self-worth. I don't necessarily see that being the case with Oprah, but we never know what goes on within the mind, right? Or within the actual experience of the person. So in a nutshell, that is Oprah's big 3 charts. So I hope you found this helpful, just again, in exploring your own sort of, what these charts could potentially bring for you. And I hope, again, this was just for fun. So I hope you enjoyed it. And I'd like to do a couple more, maybe one for Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer. I'd like to do one for, I think, the Theranos lady, Elizabeth. I can't remember her last name now, but because I believe she's a 9. And so that's a really good example of sort of the shadow side of the 9. Anywho, so if there's someone that you'd like to see their charts read, if I can get their information online, I'd be happy to do that. And if you want your own charts read, then of course, go to my website, book some time with me. I'd love to do that for you. Love to work with you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.